Yo, what up, man? It's Dane. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about these divisional round games. And I'm going to also go through a little review of what happened in the wild card weekend. I didn't expect a lot of bad games. Not to say the games were horrible, but they definitely were not that fun to watch. But I will say this. I enjoyed the fact that it was the playoff environment. It definitely was some tough games. I really thoroughly enjoyed the Commanders and Buccaneers game. Was severely disappointed with that Vikings game. But at the end of the day, teams, pretty much players and teams as well, were pretty much just getting exposed. And so, it is what it is. We're going on to this divisional round. And let me just say this. I feel like this will be one of the best divisional rounds in football that we've had in a very long time. And I say that mostly just for the simple fact that, we have some of the best quarterbacks, in my opinion, matching up against each other in the past few years in terms of divisional round games. Like, we have Patrick Mahomes versus C.J. Stroud. I know C.J. Stroud has had a sophomore slump, but I do still believe C.J. Stroud will be one of the best quarterbacks in this game. I feel like last year, his rookie campaign was one of the best we've ever seen. Probably only second to Jaden Daniels, which is saying a lot because C.J. Stroud was playing at a level last year that was excellent, and Jaden Daniels just amplified that. And so, transitioning over into Jaden Daniels, I feel like Jaden Daniels versus Jared Goff today will be very, very fun. I feel like that would be a great matchup. I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan, but I can still acknowledge the fact that Jared Goff is a good quarterback. I think he's done great things for that team. And I do also believe that Jaden Daniels is one of the best in this game already. I think him and Jaden Daniels, I think every single quarterback right now that are in this divisional round, I do think they are probably a top 10 quarterback in the league. And because of that, I think we'll have some of the best games that we've had, playoff game-wise, that we've had in a very long time. I do feel like the Lions are going to win today against the Commanders, but do not count out the Commanders. I think the Commanders are one of the most slept-on teams this year, which is saying a lot because they do have 13 wins. I think that the Lions are superb. I think the Lions are a great team. I think the Commanders are also a great team, but I think the deciding factor will be coaching. Dan Quinn is a good coach. Some people would even say he's a great coach for this being his first year coaching the Commanders. I think Dan Campbell is a top 3 coach, maybe top 2 coach in the NFL right now, and he's shown year after year these guys get better and better. They progress more and more, and I just think that the Lions are just well more experienced and equipped for this type of game. I don't think they're going to let what happened last year affect them when they played against the Niners. Last year they had a really big lead against the Niners. They ended up losing that game. I want to say the game at one point was like 24-7. That will not happen today. I think today actually be pretty close, pretty much the whole game. I do think the Lions will probably end up winning by about maybe 6 points, 3 points, something around that area. I'm not comfortable taking that spread with the Lions because the spread is -9.5, but I do still think that the Lions will end up winning the game in a very close fashion, and I think they'll end up making a statement like, we just took off pretty much 2 to 3 weeks of football, and we're still going to show that we can go and probably will go to the Super Bowl. The next 2 teams I wanted to discuss were the Chiefs and the Texans. I do believe that as good as the Texans looked last week, especially defensively, I don't think they're going to have enough offensive power to really challenge the Chiefs. And with me saying that, that's more of a testament to how good the Chiefs' defense is and not how bad the Texans' offense has looked. They did lose Tank Dell. They also lost Stephon Diggs earlier in the season. Joe Mixon is banged up right now. C.J. Stroud has had a sophomore slump. And the only consistent player is pretty much Nico Collins. And he's a wide receiver, which is a very dependent position. If this game does end up being as good as I think it's going to be because the Texans' defense is dominant. DeMeco Ryans is a defensive guy. He has a great mind for the game. I think he will genuinely give Patrick Mahomes some type of trouble. Maybe not, but I think he will. He'll put a lot of pressure on Mahomes today. And I think because of all the pressure that he'll put on Mahomes, I think Mahomes will end up going back to what made him such a dominant force, his unequivalent ability to be able to spread the ball throughout the entire team and not just focus on one player. But with that being said, I do think Travis Kelce will have probably his best game he's had in years today. I think he carries this Chiefs team to a win. Do not sleep on Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt also helping out in that run game. But I do think that the Texans defense will play well enough to keep those guys at bay. I don't think the Texans have enough firepower to be able to contain Travis Kelce the way that they can. And I do think this will be Travis Kelce's last season. And because of that, I think he'll go try to prove a point. And I also think that they will come out with the win. And we'll see what happens next week. And we'll see if they end up playing against Baltimore or Buffalo, which is the next team we're going to talk about right now. Look, this game, this is probably one of the hardest games I've ever had to pick between two different teams. I do think that Josh Allen and the Bills are really good. I think they're great, actually. They showed multiple times in this season that they have been dominant. There were probably only a couple times that they showed that they weren't dominant, and one of the times that they did show that they weren't dominant was against who else? The Baltimore Ravens. I do think that this game will probably be one of the best games we've had in a long time. I think Lamar Jackson comes out on top. I'm sorry to any Bills fans. I doubt any Bills fans watch my video, but I'm very sorry to any Bills fans who feel like this is their year. Josh Allen hasn't been great, which he has, but I don't think they have enough firepower to go against the Baltimore Ravens. And you know, my mom is actually a really big Ravens fan. She helped me really go do some of my research. She said she feels like the Ravens have a better team than the Bills, and I did some research and I really realized, as much as I kind of thought initially that the Bills were going to match up very well against the Ravens, I honestly don't know. Because as good as I think Josh Allen is, as good as I think James Cook is, they don't have a consistent receiver. They do have receivers. They just don't have consistent receivers. I think if Zay Flowers can come back and be that guy that they're expecting him to be, I do think that the Baltimore Ravens will end up taking this win. That defense is so good. Kyle Hamilton is probably the best corner in the league. Well, he is the best corner in the league. Roquan Smith is the best, probably either the second or maybe the first best linebacker in the league. And so I do think that defense is going to put a lot of pressure on Josh Allen. And I don't think he's really been pressured all year. So we'll see how that looks. But this will be a close one. I do think this will be a close one. And I feel like the Baltimore Ravens pull out with a 3-point win. And I think that Justin Tucker surprisingly gets a game-winning field goal to take the Baltimore Ravens to go play against the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Now, moving on to our last game. In this game right here, now, once again, my mom had a suggestion for me, and she said, if I had to pick one team that would upset anybody in this playoffs, who would it be? And this was one of those things where I had to think, because the Commanders have looked really good. I don't think they'll be able to do what they did last game against the Buccaneers today against the Lions. I think the Texans look really good. But once again, I don't think they're going to be able to replicate what they did last week against the Chargers. But one team that looked really good last week was the Los Angeles Rams. And one team that also looked pretty good last week was the Philadelphia Eagles. I think both of these teams are very good. I think they have very good players. I actually think the Eagles have a lot more firepower than what the Rams have. I think they have a good defense. I think they have good coaching as well. I know a lot of people don't like Sirianni. I think he's a good coach. I think Jalen Hurts is playing some of his best football we've seen from him in a long time. I think Saquon Barkley is probably the best running back in the game. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is probably the best, maybe the first or second best duo in the NFL, wide receiver duo in the NFL. And with all of that being said, I do have the Los Angeles Rams winning today. I believe that the Los Angeles Rams have one of the best playoff quarterback performers in Matthew Stafford. Yeah, he's only played in a couple, but I believe that Matthew Stafford is very clutch. He's a strong leader. When you watch him, you never feel like he's out of it. He never feels pressured. He's very calm, but he's very good. I feel like Cooper Kupp is one of the best wide receivers in the game still, even with his down seasons. I think he's one of the best route runners in the league. Puka Nacua is legit a top 10 wide receiver right now, only in his second year. And he's going to play well. Kyron Williams, a great running back, only in his second year. He's also going to play well. But that's not even why I think they're going to win this game. I think the Los Angeles Rams will win this game because they have one of the most insufferable defenses to go at a quarterback. And I genuinely don't think Jalen Hurts will be able to perform under that pressure. If you've watched the games, you've seen Jalen Hurts has not played well under pressure this season. He actually has looked kind of banged up to me still. I don't know if he's injured, but I don't think he's really looked that great this season, and I do think that will affect him in a game like today. And so because of that, I'm going to have to go with the Los Angeles Rams upsetting Philly today, which will give us a Los Angeles Rams and a Detroit Lions rematch like last year. I think it'll be the Los Angeles Rams versus the Detroit Lions. And I think that it'll be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC and NFC Championship. Going to these games with an open mind. We don't really know what's going to happen. These games can end up being great. They can end up being terrible. We don't know. But just enjoy the games and watch them for what they are. Games. Don't do nothing crazy if your team loses. They're games. For anybody's team that's playing, good luck to y'all's team. My team, unfortunately, didn't make it because we suck. I just had to throw that in there. But for everybody's team that did make it to the second round, I hope y'all have a great game today. I hope y'all do y'all thing. And I hope everybody's team win that is rooting for a team. So I appreciate y'all for checking in on this video. With all that being said, God bless and go be great.